Welcome to the SAP Analytics Cloud solution for planning. The planning capabilities in SAP Analytics Cloud can help you set goals and strategic plans, analyze budget and set allocations, and compare budget, actuals, and forecasts for your financials. Meet John Gibson, a finance executive at the company Best Run Bikes. John is responsible for updating the company's 3-year strategic plan. He needs to ensure that the company is aligning its plans across the organization. In SAP Analytics Cloud, John has a clear overview of the company's finances. Today, John is going to make some changes to the strategic plan that the executive team has agreed on. The sales discounts have been overestimated and have not been yielding positive returns. He reduces the discounts and retail returns in the strategic plan. Next, he adjusts his sales growth plan to align with the strategic plan by increasing the projected outcome of increased gross sales. He does this with a smart feature called the Value Driver Tree. This gives John another way to graphically connect the different areas of the business and show the full financial picture in one place. He creates a what-if scenario to simulate change in his sales growth strategy with the click of a button. John now sees all the impacted areas, and he discovers that the adjusted rates of the sales growth plan exceed the strategic plan in all 3 years. The budget does not meet the strategic plan, so John contacts an analyst on his team to investigate further. John allocates the operating expenses in the strategic plan. He notices that the operating expenses are currently unallocated. John goes one level deeper to see the operating regions. He discovers that all the operating expenses are unallocated. John allocates sales and marketing based on gross sales, while other operating expenses will be allocated to headcount. In the toolbar, he creates an allocation based on headcount or gross sales to his strategic plan. John obtains his headcount figure from his live connection to SAP SuccessFactors solutions. You can see the results of running the allocation. Operating expenses have now been allocated to the products and regions. Below, we see 2 charts refreshed, which include visualizations of operating expenses by product and operating expenses by region. John can push these to his report and share them with his team. John contacts Scott Murphy, a planning analyst, who will take a more detailed look at the report and propose forecast recommendations. Scott receives the message with full context of the report from John and goes in to review the results and update the forecast. Scott's overview dashboard allows him to review the budget, actuals, and forecast for the year. In the bottom table, he sees that the forecasted operating income per the current forecast exceeds the budget by just under $36 million. Scott sees net revenue variance directly in SAP Analytics Cloud through the visualizations. He sees that mountain bike sales are behind forecast, but racing bikes are strongly exceeding forecast. The United States regions are also outperforming budget, while Europe, the Middle East, and Africa have dragged down the overseas regions. Scott wants to learn more about the top contributors to net revenue to conclude his analysis. To do so, he leverages the Smart Insights feature. This uses augmented analytics to gather live information based on the models and built-in algorithms. Smart Insights shows Scott that the southeastern U.S. region is the top contributor, without Scott having to manually create any visualizations. Scott wants to make a comparison of his actuals versus both budget and forecast. Scott clicks the time filter and changes the selection to Q3. The rows can be drilled down to as much detail as provided in the model. In this case, Scott drills down on costs of goods sold. Next, Scott looks at the time comparison. Currently, it shows a comparison of actual versus budget for the first half of the year. Scott has his actuals through September, so he changes the range and views his year-to-date comparison. Now he wants to compare the forecast for the entire year versus the budget, He changes his selection from Actuals to Forecast version 1 and changes the date to end of year, which gives him a comparison of forecast versus budget for the entire year. In addition to reporting on the first 3 quarters, Scott wants to update the forecast for the 4th quarter. Rather than manually adjusting operating expenses for the 4th quarter, he uses SAP Analytics Cloud to run a time series prediction. He goes back into Forecast and selects his operating expenses in the 4th quarter to conduct a time series prediction. Scott updates the forecast for operating expenses for Q4 using the time series algorithm to predict the expenses. SAP Analytics Cloud presents a graphical depiction of the prediction instantly, without any manual input. Scott notices the forecast is underperforming compared to the budget. With this time series prediction, he updates the forecast. The tables refresh, and Scott leaves a data point comment to document the changes. Updated total operating expenses by running the time series prediction. With SAP Analytics Cloud for planning, John and Scott collaborate effectively across their organization, setting goals and strategic plans for the future of best-run bikes.